What is up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be going over everything you need to know about the first major update of Fortnite Simpsons Season. As always, if you guys do enjoy this video, find it helpful, informative, or interesting, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you like some more, comment down below what you think of this update, and if you guys would like to use my code in the shop when getting anything, it is EvolveJake, just like my channel name is, and it is underneath the webcam at all times. So in this update, we had 2 new items added, and then a few other more minor changes as well. We're going to start with the Moes 5 gun because I think this is going to be the item that most people are interested in because it's a very unique contraption of a bunch of guns in one. And this is a reference to something in the show. As far as it being a weapon in Fortnite goes, I did not enjoy it at all. This is probably my least favorite item in the loot pool right now and probably my least favorite item I've used in Fortnite this year. Most people are probably going to compare it to the pump and dump because it's similar to that and that it's several weapons in one, but it functions a little bit differently. So with the pump and dump, you had one trigger to shoot the shotgun and one trigger to shoot the SMG, and if you held down both, it would shoot them, both at the same time. But with this Moes gun, you can actually aim in with it, and you just have one fire button that will simultaneously fire the shotgun and the SMG, which sounds good at all and sounds very convenient. But the thing is, if you just hold down the fire button with this, it won't shoot the shotgun at the optimal rate. You actually have to stop shooting. So take your finger off the trigger and then start shooting again to shoot the shotgun the second time. It won't just shoot automatically when it's ready. And I feel like that's one of the things that really holds this weapon back because it is not the greatest as is. As far as damage goes, I feel like it's very kind of lackluster. But the fact that you need to stop firing it and stop firing the SMG to shoot your second shotgun shot, I think is just more trouble than it's worth. And there was pretty much not a single time I was using this where I was happy that I had this instead of another shotgun. I feel like the tac shotgun is a menace this season. Obviously, the Thunder and the Ranger can both hit hard. And so this one is in just a weird spot where it's going to be most comparable to the tac because it's like a spammy-ish weapon. But it just doesn't... It doesn't play like a shotgun SMG combination. It plays more like an SMG that shoots a shotgun when you first start shooting it. And the magazine capacity of both the SMG and the shotgun is very lackluster as well. I feel like it is just that lackluster is the best word I would describe this. I feel like it's not good at really anything. There is some chaotic close range fights where maybe this could get the job done. It's very close range oriented. The range on it is not great, but I would much rather just be using the tac shotgun or maybe even the compact SMG instead. I feel like the pump and dump kind of worked because it was not the greatest shotgun, not the greatest SMG, but the way they were combined worked. This is a combination that I feel like just doesn't work. I would rather just be using the tac or I'd rather just be using the compact SMG, but this just doesn't feel good. And I feel like in a lot of fights, you're not really going to get eliminations cleanly with this, which is a real problem this season because of how third-party centric it is. So I just cannot recommend using this at all, and I did not enjoy using it. The other item that was added today is going to be the chainsaw, and if you guys played last season, you're well familiar with this because it functions just like the chainsaw did in Chapter 6 and in Chapter 5. So it has a melee attack, but it also it can be used as a movement item, and it works just like the previous chainsaw did as a movement item. One interesting thing is that it doesn't have durability anymore. So it does still have fuel that can kind of run out and you have to wait for it to recharge again, but it doesn't have just a flat durability that you need to be concerned about at all times. So it is a nice little buff to the chainsaw. And just with how this season plays out, I think this is a more appealing kind of situation for the chainsaw to exist in, because in Chapter 6, we had a very large map. We also had a lot of cars on that map. So I just didn't really ever see the point of using the chainsaw because I would rather use a car, have mobile cover with my car, and also not take an inventory slot for that, right? But this season, the map is smaller, so the chainsaw is a little more appealing in that aspect. The cars are not as plentiful on the island, and even when you do have a car, they don't handle as well or go as fast off-road. So I just think the environment that the Simpsons season is much more appealing for the chainsaw than Chapter 6 or Chapter 5 was to me. It's still not something that I would really be desperate or excited to use. As far as mobility item goes, I would rank this below Shockwaves and I'd rank it below the Dashfish, but it is definitely a more appealing environment for it than it was last season. So if you enjoyed the chainsaw last season or you enjoyed the chainsaw in Chapter 5, probably going to really like it this season. There's also not any red dot ARs in the loot pool, and that's another kind of benefit to the chainsaw because maybe you're less likely to get beamed. But from how this season's played out, I still expect you to just get fried from like either the infantry rifle or the Mr. Blasty. So it is like a high risk mobility item still. The Deodorant Applicator and Slingshot were both also added back to the loot pool today, and they were both buffed. So we had these items this weekend, and Fortnite announced it would be this weekend only, but they did add them back to the loot pool today and buff both of them. So the projectile speed on the Cobalt Slingshot was increased by 20%. So the thing you shoot out is going to travel faster in the air. It's going to make it easier to actually hit enemies, especially enemies that are moving. And then the damage on the Deodorant Applicator for the epic and legendary versions were both increased by 1, which isn't a massive improvement damage wise, only 1 damage, but with how low the damage on the item already was and how high the fire rate was, just getting +1 damage is actually something that's somewhat meaningful. So if you enjoyed any of these items before, you're going to like them even more now because they both got a little bit better. So we do have 4 Simpsons items in the loot pool now. We have the Moes gun, the chainsaw, the Deodorant Applicator, and the Cobalt Slingshot, all as like Simpsons weapons. Supply drops were removed from the game in this update, and what we have now is going to be donut rain. So throughout the course of the match, there will be different areas that are marked purple on the map, and in these areas, donuts will rain from the sky for a period of time. You can actually get hit by them and take damage, but you'll actually see a little indication on the ground of where they're going to land. So if you're paying attention to that, they are pretty avoidable. You do get like a decent warning. And then once the donut rain is done, there will be a good amount of loot left in the area. So they removed supply drops, but this functions as a pseudo supply drop because there's a bunch of loot that comes out of these throughout the course of them falling. And then it does add some cover to the map as well. So if you're in the area where donut rain is happening, it's a bit dangerous, but afterwards, when there's more cover added in that area, it actually makes it a little more appealing in zero build. And that added loot was nice, especially if you need like a refresh on something in the mid to late game. And since these locations are marked on the map, they are very avoidable unless you get a situation where it's like happening in the end game in an area that you have to be in. But for the most part, I think this is very avoidable if it's something that you just don't want to deal with at all. The Ranger shotgun got its max damage increased by 5 for each rarity. So the common Ranger shotgun now has a max damage of 150, and the legendary version has a max damage of 170, with each rarity going up by 5. So like the green is 155, the blue is 160, the purple is 165. So just a slight improvement to the max damage on the Ranger shotgun. I think this is a good thing. If you're someone who likes using the Ranger shotgun, this is good for you. But I don't think this is such a significant buff that it really changes my opinion on it one way or the other. If you didn't like the Ranger shotgun before, I don't think you're going to like it now. It's not like that big of a buff that like, holy, you need to use this gun now. And if you already liked it, as I said, cool, it's a nice little buff for you. You're still going to like it, maybe a little bit more. But I don't think it like drastically changes how I would rate the weapon one way or the other. The Mr. Blasty pistol also got an accuracy nerf in this update, so it has a little bit more spread when shooting now. I believe that works out to about 10% more spread. So they didn't really kill the weapon, and I really didn't notice this much at all while playing today. I was still beaming people with it pretty consistently, and playing against enemies that were using it, it seemed like they were still beaming pretty consistently too. This would maybe make it a little bit harder to kind of shockwave up and then hip fire shots down and consistently hit people. But as far as like standing still and trying to use it as a ranged weapon and crouching and stuff, I still think it's like plenty accurate enough to the point where they didn't kill the weapon or change it in any significant way. I would compare this to the Ranger buff I just talked about. If you liked the Mr. Blasty pistol, you're still probably going to like it. If you didn't like it before, you're still not going to like it, but I don't think this nerf really breaks it. Although the Fortnite community often overreacts to nerfs, so I'm sure some people, will say they ruined the gun. Moe's boss is now on the island, and he will drop a mythic striker AR when you eliminate him. This is just a striker AR with +1 damage than the legendary, so it's not like a huge difference as far as the weapon goes. And like the other bosses we have on the island, he just spawns in randomly, and you have to just happen upon him. And then if you eliminate him, you can get this mythic striker AR. As far as the bosses go, I would maybe rather have this over the compact SMG, but I would still much rather find Homer for the mythic tac shotgun or Krusty for the exotic pistol because that thing is busted. And then one final change is that some NPCs were changed on the island, but they still do the same thing. So the supply NPC is now Lada, but she is still at the same place and she still functions as a supply NPC. So it's not like they removed these NPC specialists. They just changed which character it is, but it still does the same thing, and it's still at the same spot for all of the specialist NPCs. They just changed the characters for whatever reason. So not really sure why they did that, but that is another random change in today's update. And then also, I can't find hard information on this, and I don't know exactly how it felt before, but apparently the duration of the blink flopper was reduced. So if you use this, you're not going to be able to dash around for as long as you previously could. But I don't know what the time is now, and I don't know what it was beforehand. But a lot of people I saw today were saying that, and it seemed to be that way to me when I was playing, but I don't know if that was just because, like, I had been told it got nerfed, and then I used it, and I was like, oh, wow, it does seem shorter now. But it did seem shorter to me while I was playing, so maybe the blank flopper was nerfed slightly. But even still, it's a really good item, and it's something that's going to be really helpful in certain fights. But that is going to be it for this video. As always, if you guys did find this to be helpful, informative, or interesting, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.